My dear brothers and sisters, in Matthew's Gospel today, we have a familiar passage that many of us have heard many times, where Jesus says, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God. But the context is the Pharisees are upset because Jesus is basically showing his truth, which is upsetting them. Because it's attacking them and the way they're doing things, their practices, and the way they're not being faithful to the law of God and not recognizing Jesus as the Messiah. And so they plot against him. And so they send to him, their disciples, to go and try to catch Jesus by asking him a question. And that is, the question is it lawful to pay the census tax to Caesar or not? Now, for Jesus to say, no, it's not, then that's going against Caesar. That's treason. And so basically the Roman machinery would take care of Jesus itself, and they wouldn't have to worry about him anymore. However, if Jesus says, yes, it is, then it seems contradictory, because to pay the census tax is also to recognize the Roman conqueror, to recognize Caesar, and therefore to claim another god. And so the Jews thought they really had Jesus trapped, that there was no way he was going to get out of this. And of course, Jesus always knows their malice. He says, why are you testing me, you hypocrites? And then he says, show me the coin that pays the census tax. And so they handed him a Roman coin. Now then, this is happening inside the temple. And Jesus particularly asked the question. He says, show me a coin and pays his tax. And he said, whose image is this and whose inscription? Now, first of all, in the temple, one of those disciples themselves had these coins in their pockets. So when Jesus said, show me, they pulled it out of their pockets. They brought it into the temple of the Lord. And Jesus uses the word particularly, whose image is this and whose inscription? To bring any images into the temple was blaspheming God and was sacrilegious. That let there be no other symbols or idols. And so even the inscription on the coin itself of Caesar was bringing an idol or an image into the temple of God. So Jesus already caught them in their own hands. He already betrayed them, or he already showed their betrayal just by doing that. And then Jesus says, they said, it's Caesar's. And so Jesus says to them, then repay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Give Caesar this coin. Give Caesar back this piece of metal. But give to God what belongs to God. My brothers and sisters, image, whose image is this? Goes back to the book of Genesis, where God created man in the divine image. Male and female, he made them in the divine image. What Jesus is saying today, my brothers and sisters, is be lawful as citizens of the nation and the country, to give to the country our due as faithful citizens. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Give to the government the right amount of income tax that you owe the government, and don't try to cheat them either. But give to God what belongs to God, whose image you were created. Give to God what belongs to God. What belongs to God? Everything. Not only ourselves and our lives and our births, but all of creation. All of creation was created in the image of God. To a certain degree, all of creation reveals the glory of God. And which is why we have an obligation to help take care of our environment. That's not a joke. We have an obligation as stewards of all of creation, and to be respectful of that. We are also called to put our faith into practice. Not just practicing our faith not practicing our Catholic faith when we are in Mass in the church, And once we walk out into the world, then we start acting like the world. Jesus says, give to God what belongs to God. Give him your first fruits. Give him your actions. Give him your prayers. Make sure everything you say and everything you do, you're reminded everything you are belongs to God. And keep that in perspective, my brothers and sisters. I could not help but see the comparison, the easy comparison, for those who've been watching the Senate Committee's hearings over the last week on Amy Coney Barrett, the Supreme Court Justice nominee, and how all the attacks and all the questions and the cunning questions trying to get at her. And I love the point where they finally asked her, she kept looking down and thinking carefully and giving answers to truth. And they say, show us what all you have on that pad in front of you. Show us what notes you're using to give all these answers. And she holds up a blank pad. Of course, they made memes off of that all over the internet for the last week on that. But what a wonderful way. My brothers and sisters, when we speak the truth of God, we don't need to prepare ourselves with a lot of notes. When we're telling lies and deception to keep up with them, we've got to have a lot of notes in front of us. If we're trying to be deceptive of somebody else, then we do all this stuff. That's exactly what the Pharisees did against Jesus. And the way she defended herself by simply speaking the truth was very much like Jesus in the gospel today. Some people are concerned that she's too Catholic and that she actually practices her Catholic faith and makes decisions based on her Catholic faith. How sad it is that any other person who wants to be leader of our nation, who claims to be Catholic, doesn't put all the Catholic teachings into practice every day on every decision that's being made. How sad it is that we sometimes, when we leave the church building, make decisions and agree with people that go against the very teachings of Christ and his church. My brothers and sisters, today Jesus' words to us are a challenge. It's not a matter of just pay your taxes because they belong to the government. Jesus is also saying you have to be faithful in this world to this government to the degree that we're obligated to be, but we also have to balance that by not denying whose image we were created to be. We cannot deny our Catholic faith, even in the times of persecution. And it amazes me how many people vote for very people who are in favor of destroying images, destroying Catholic churches, burning Catholic churches, rioting, and somehow they feel that's all the good thing to do in our nation. Denying the very Catholic principles and our identity. My brothers and sisters, today let us pray that we remain faithful in the image of God that we were created to be. Let us pray for all of those who stand up and live our Catholic faith. And people say, but Father, you talk too much politics. You're supposed to not mix church with religion. You can't talk politics on the altar. I'm not telling anyone who to vote for. I don't attack any political party by the political party. But there are many things that are wrong in all political parties that go against our Catholic faith, number one, and I always say that. But number two, my brothers and sisters, I would be a hypocrite myself to say, let's live our Catholic faith in theory, in our prayer life, but let's just don't put it into practice every day. We can't do that. And as a pastor, I can't do that. What's happening in our government affects our lives daily. And we as voting citizens, as a nation, as a democratic nation so far, that we have a voice. But let's just pray that we don't use our voice to throw away all of our rights. That we don't use our voice in these elections to bring about things that go against our Catholic faith and go against the Catholic Church. That go against our Catholic hospital systems. That go against the nuns who run our Catholic hospital systems, as so much of our government today are trying to do. Let us pray, and people say, don't mix politics and religion. My brothers and sisters, We all interpret the law of the land through our lenses of our experience. We're making decisions based on our understanding of reality and our priorities and our values. Every one of our priorities and values should be based on our Catholic faith, because our identity should be that we are Catholic sons and daughters of God. That is what our identity is. It's not just another label that we put on ourselves. It's part of the very nature of who we are. We're baptized, we were changed to become sons and daughters of God, to be part of his holy people, to become part of his holy church. So my brothers and sisters, let us truly reflect on that today, what that means in our daily life. Are we just living our Catholic faith when it's convenient and in the church and in the privacy of our homes? Or are we putting our Catholic faith into practice by every decision we make? Let us pray that we are all truly using our voice, using our vote at this time to do the best of our ability based on our understanding of Christ and his truth, to make the best decisions possible for our nation, that we truly are one nation under God, and not become a nation that continues to attack religion, the Catholic faith, and those who stand for the truth when it's not convenient. Mis queridos hermanos,